Hi, everybody. This is Kamiar Kordari, your host. Today, I'm joined by Michael Malyuk, CEO and co-founder of Heartex. Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Tell me about Heartex. In short, what is Heartex?
In essence, Heartex is a data labeling tool. Heartex helps you to annotate and label your data quickly. It's configurable for your particular data domain, and it uses semi-supervised learning to help you go through your data set in a very short time.
Okay. Do you want to start with a demo of your product?
Yeah, sure. Just let me share my screen. Okay, so just a few more words about how we got this problem to this idea, maybe. So on our previous jobs, the founders of Heartex, we had a lot of issues with data that was not clean, not labeled, and sometimes not structured well. And there was no one solution where you can kind of do this management of your data labeling work and go through the data sets. And especially if you had a big data set, it would rather mean that you need to hire people to label it, which can be really expensive. Or you can do it yourself, but it's going to take a lot of time. Or you can just do a mixture of things and just try to get a model working and help you do the labeling. So because of that, we saw a real opportunity how we can help other companies with their data management and with unstructured data. So what I'm going to show you is basically how you create a project and how you go through the data sets and how you get the results. So this is a demo account. Let's log in. This is basically a dashboard. And let's create a new project. Filtering. So configuration language. This language is very, very high level. And it enables you in like 10 lines of code set up a UI interface for your particular needs. So for example, if you want to do the text classifier, this is the config for the text classifier. And this is the preview of the UI that you would get when you would do the labeling. So to give you one more example, this is the chatbot analysis. And here you can rate the answer and you can give your own answer. So this is used to make the quality of the chatbots better and basically work with the data sets of the dialogues. So for example, another one is drawing an image, a bounding box on the image. So it's very high level and supports, works with images, audios, text, and with lots of different other mixture between those data types. So for our demo, what I'm going to show you is basically how you can create what is called a named entity recognition for text. So this is, copy the config. So we will be looking at the text, selecting a label, and basically labeling what's relevant and what's not relevant. So first thing you need to do after you create a project is upload your data. So we support multiple data types. To make sure that I get the right one, please. This is it. Yeah. So data can be uploaded in CSV, TSV, JSON through our API, and in archives of different kinds. So the next step is to configure the settings of the project. So in the settings, you configure the collaborators. Collaborators are people who can help you with the labeling work. It's either domain knowledge experts or members of your team. You can configure the instructor for them, what's going to be the distribution of labeling tasks between the collaborators. Meaning if you want to distribute one task to more than one collaborator, you have different options for configuring the interface for them. Another one is machine learning. That's basically where machine learning helps you to annotate the data set. So to enable that, you enable machine learning, and then you need to select the model that you want to use. So for the text tagging, we have one model. You click Save. And that's basically it. So let's go back. So you need to publish a project. And then if you want to, you can invite collaborators to help you with the actual labeling work. For that one, I'll do it myself, so we can skip on that. Okay, so this is basically the dashboard that you get after you create your project. Here you can see the number of completion, honeypots, which is also can be named the golden standard, the completed tasks, total tasks, machine learning. There's one job running doing the predictions for you, and the collaborators. So statistics will be calculated as soon as we start labeling something. So let's go into the labeling interface. So here the idea is to label relevant and not relevant if it's an Apple product or it's an apple as a fruit. So we select relevant and we label it, and we click submit. This is another one about Apple device. Click submit. This is, I think, another one. Relevant Apple. Submit. So, and this is basically how the labeling works. Radio energy customer support Android. So yeah, I think this is relevant again. Is missing already. So it takes model about 10 minutes to learn what I'm doing. And after it does, it shows you the pre-labeling. So, and that basically helps you a lot with going through your data set faster.
Oh.
You can go into the data manager. You can explore the data that you have already labeled, going into completions, and you can see like all the statistics here, that the prediction score that the model was given, the agreement, if you're distributing this task to more than one collaborator, we calculate the agreement. Right now it's 100% because it's only one person. You can delete, you can modify. So if you go back here, you can actually start seeing the statistics around what's going on. So this is the prediction. So that shows you how confident is the model based on the completions that you have had, that you have done already. So right now the model, let's check it out if it's ready or not. So yeah, it's finished training predictions. So now it starts to predict and analyze your whole data set. And as soon as it's ready with all the predictions, so we have labeled only 7 tasks out of 700, which is basically 1%. So if you're going into the data manager and you click the download results here, you'll be able to get all 700 tasks labeled by the model. So basically we went from unlabeled data set into a labeled one in like 5 minutes. Yeah. And so just to clarify a little bit more, it works with different data types, and this UI that I have created here for the labeling of the entity recognition. You can create different ones for images, bounding boxes for the images, polygons, audio classification, audio region labeling, audio transcriptions, chatbot analysis, and it's really diverse in what you can do with it. You can also, in settings, connect your own model, because we only provide the baseline models. And if you connect your own model, we provide you with an SDK. So, and there you need to implement just two methods, train and predict. And while you'll be doing the labeling work, your model that you're running yourself on your servers will be updating. And that moves us from the iterative process to the continuous one. So while you do the labeling, the model improves, and you have all the statistics to help you understand if it's improving or not, if you want to label more data or not. And that basically means that you can get a model into production faster and in general with a higher quality. Yeah, so I think in essence, that's it. So there are more things to explore, like you have statistics for collaborators, statistics for other projects. If you go into collaborators and invite collaborators, we show you the statistics, how those collaborators, the labels of those collaborators, if they are same or not for different tasks. So this is called the collaborators agreement matrix. Yeah, but the basics, I think I showed like all the basics. Yeah.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
It looks very useful because a lot of time spent on preparing and labeling data,
Yeah.
and a little bit of improvement can be a lot of time saved for the data scientists and the engineers.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we have found out talking to data scientists is that a lot of them use some open source solutions right now, but it takes around 8 weeks to kind of get from the open source solution that you just download from Git to the point where you actually getting value out of it. And what we are doing with our tool, we are covering the most popular cases with our configuration language. And we are doing it in a configurable way. So yeah, so in most cases, you don't want to be dealing with open source solutions, and you want just to have one system where you can put all your data and all your data labeling work inside. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this covers a lot of use cases for.
Yeah.
Is there any use case that you see a lot of traction, or is there a specific type of data that is more developed, your
Yep.
system is more developed for?
So if we're talking just like of market in terms of market traction and data labeling in general,
Mm-hmm.
so I think the biggest topic is images and autonomous vehicles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but what we are trying to do, so there are a lot of service companies and open source data labeling tools that do that, just the images part. So what we are trying to do is to go a little bit further and tackle on the more complex problems. Because if you're working with labeling, using bounding box to label images of cars, then you can, in most cases, just outsource that. And we are looking into problems where you can't outsource your data labeling work because of the complexity of the actual tasks you need to label. And you need domain subjects experts to help you with that. Or when the privacy is a concern, dealing with some sort of private data, because our solution also works on-prem. So in case of our traction, we are mostly concentrated around text and audios right now. We have full support for images. It's just for images, it's a higher competition. So we're trying to provide value where like there are nothing for the audios right now. So, and we are actively looking at this space and working with the companies in this audio space and text space.
And how is the pricing model? Is it a monthly subscription or is it on demand?
So yeah, it's a subscription service, and there are multiple options. You basically pay for, you buy the plan, and plan includes the number of collaborators that you are able to invite to your projects. It includes the number of API calls to the model. Because the one interesting part also here is that if you look into the model in machine learning, we expose this model that we are training while you do the labeling. If you choose to use our model, we expose that through API. So which means that you can very easily connect our model inside your pipeline and get to results immediately. But if you are looking at some different architectures, you want to try something else, you can use our SDK. You can train your own model, and then you can seamlessly integrate your own model in place where our model was previously in. So yeah, but yeah, basically it's a subscription service. Yeah. If we're talking about the cloud solution, on-prem is also subscription, but the pricing is more complex for on-prem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perfect. And how many users do you have? How are you growing? Are there numbers you can share with us?
So I can't tell you exact number of the users. I can tell you that we are growing, and yeah, I think. Yeah, I would rather not share the exact numbers. I'm just thinking about what what I'm feeling okay of sharing. I mean, maybe it's enough to say that we are growing. Yeah.
Okay.
You never grow fast enough, I guess, but as long as you do, then that's good.
Perfect. So, what are some of the challenges in labeling data and preparing data that you've came across?
Yeah.
And you have solved it better than others. Can you share some of those?
So I think it's 2 questions. So what we have seen a lot is that the process inside the companies, especially the bigger companies, the process is still not there. I mean, the actual business process. So because data labeling, especially if you're doing it in-house, is not an easy task if you think about the process itself. Because there are many people involved, and that's a hard part, actually getting this structure in place where there are people who are doing the labeling, there are people who can verify those labels, people who are using the labeling to build the models, improve the models. So this is not an easy process, and from our side we are trying to simplify it as much as possible, but it's still a long way to go. I think a lot of companies just starting to realize right now that there is in most cases, there is a direct connection between the quality of your labels and the performance of your model. And also the quality of the data itself. But if you're doing the labeling, and what we are also helping companies to do is to find outliers in their data set. So our idea is to help companies kind of prepare the data set for machine learning And when you get more data, you can upload this additional data to our platform, and we analyze that again. So yeah, the process is hard. What we do really well, I think, that you can configure the tool to your particular needs very, very quickly. It's very diverse in its capabilities. And you can very quickly go from not knowing the data that you are dealing with to understanding what you have. Because this data exploration process, when you're dealing with the data that you are not familiar with, is also very, very time consuming. But we are combining the machine learning and the visual interface to help you go through this process quicker. And what the other part that we do well is, on the back end, we analyze the data set that you have uploaded to our system. And when each time I go and I click this start labeling button, right, we are picking the items not in random or sequential order. We are picking them in what we construct the optimal data labeling strategy for you. And so we're picking them in a way that fits the model the most. So in most cases, you need only to label the fraction of your data sets before you get the quality results. So this is very important. This basically means that you save a lot of time if you have that. And it's completely integrated with all the UI configurations that we are offering.
I think that we got disconnected for a second.
Yeah, just for a second. Yeah. Yeah.
So one last question.
Sure.
So when it comes to images and videos, is there especially if the data is large,
Yep.
if the data is large, how do you handle those cases?
So again, so if the data set is large, what we use, one of the techniques we use is called active learning. And we have improved for some data domains on the active learning that was available. We call this we call this super active learning. And so the idea behind active learning that you're always choosing the next object to label in a sort that would benefit the model. You're trying to get the most complex object, the one that is the model is not confident about. So this is how the simple active learning works. But we have done some improvements to that. And the idea is basically that you don't need to label, in most cases, you don't need to label the whole data set. So if your data set is very, very large, and again, this is very data set specific as anything in data science and machine learning, but you need to label sometimes 5%, sometimes 20%, sometimes 40%, but you very rarely need to label the whole data set if it's large. So, and this is where we help companies save money, because if you outsource that, then you would get your whole data set labeled, even though you may not benefit from, let's say, 50% of those labels. So you would be paying just for nothing. So this is a case for the large data set. And for the small data sets, we use all our on our backend, those using transfer learning. So that means that it is able to learn very, very quickly. So for these 700 tasks that we have here, labeling just 1%, I think, like, from my tests that I was doing myself, after 10%, you get a pretty accurate results, and you don't want to label the rest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, Michael, thank you very much for showing your product.
Sure.
It looks very useful.
Sure.
The design is very nice, and I wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.